AEW was looked at as the alternative to WWE. Whatever happened on WWE programming was never going to happen, rarely happen, on AEW television. Whatever happens on AEW television would probably never happen on WWE television. Fans are now worried about the overall integrity of the AEW product after a report from Fightful leaked yesterday that AEW is banning several things and several moves sent to talents. All these things and all these moves would now require clearance from AEW upper management. I don't know why you guys are concerned about this. I don't know why you guys are really upset about this. I don't know why you guys are surprised about this. In the midst of TV rights negotiations, it's time for AEW to grow up. It's time for AEW to play ball, and Warner Media is going to pay AEW real good. Real good. They're going to pay them handsomely. And Warner Media is going to want AEW to do what Warner Media wants to do. This is where Tony Khan comes into play. This is going to be the most important decision. The most important part of Tony Khan's leadership is right now leading AEW. How is he going to handle this? How is he going to juggle this? And how is he going to maintain and keep the integrity of AEW to keep the fan base happy? There could be major changes. It's not could. There will be some major changes coming to in-ring AEW content pretty soon. Fightful has learned of a document that was sent out within the company recently that outlined some of the changes that the company was planning to make in regards to performer and fan safety. It's important to note that while multiple people in the company confirmed the document was legitimate, there are numerous talent who said that they have not seen this as of yet and first heard about it when the report broke from Fightful. There were protocols developed by the AEW medical team, coaches, and referees to help protect talent, staff, crew, and the fans. The document said that while there is always risk in professional wrestling, they wanted to minimize the risk without compromising the quality of the talent's performances and the ability to be creative. Specifically, a document was sent out that outright banned unprotected chair shots to the head, shots to the back of the head, buckle bombs, and blind moves backwards into the turnbuckle, fencing responses, unnatural position of arms following a concussion, seizure cells, spitting, bleeding into the crowd, weapons or projectiles in the crowd, taking drinks or food from guests in the crowd, or physical contact of any sort with the crowd. Fightful's told that nothing with blood on it should be thrown into the crowd. This will affect the offense of a few wrestlers, but largely buckle bombs and attacks of the like seem to be the only ones not allowed. However, there have been several instances of bleeding wrestlers into the crowd. MJF has been known to go into the crowd and do shit to the fans, whether it's take a drink or slap a hat off of somebody, and these are not allowed anymore. These things are not allowed anymore. This is the list, verbatim, of what the document says needs to be approved by a coach. Spots and bumps on the ring apron and outside. Any elevated spots outside of the barricades, dives, and ladder spots on the stage, around the arena, and other places outside the ring. Table, ladder, and chair spots in and out of the ring only allowed with padding. All pile drivers, tombstone variations, including sit-down drivers, inverted, poison ranas, and vertebreakers. High-risk dives or top rope moves such as 450, 630, double moonsaults, intentional bleeding of any sort, not just blading. Throwing people into, through, and over ring steps, commentary table, bell table, or guardrails, barricades, weapon usage such as chairs, pipes, kendo sticks, hammers, ring bells, bats, chains, title belts, etc., thumbtacks, skewers, barbed wire, and other sharp puncturing objects, aerosol sprays, any sort of powders or liquids, throwing any weapons or objects, chairs, especially into the crowd, choking, strangling with hands or a weapon, or hanging spots, injury spots or angles, whether or not medical is involved or called to the ring, any physicality into the crowd or crowd brawling, any physicality involving referees, managers, extras, celebrities, or special guests. Some of these are so, blatant. Obviously, you know that most of these things would have to be approved by management at the end of the day, especially that last one, any physicality involving referees, managers, extras, celebrities, or special guests need to be approved by upper management, of course. Some of these things are just common sense. Now, if aggregating the story, we ask, says Feifel, that you make sure to differentiate which are completely prohibited and which are required for approval to avoid any reader confusion. It's basic, like I said. Some of these things are just so fucking blatant that you should know which is something that needs to be allowed and something that needs to be brought to upper management to get the approval of. Now, the document said that providing the necessary parties with notice to plan creative stunts or spots is helpful. That way they can plan for them to be done as safely as possible. Talent were encouraged to speak to coaches, talent relations, medical team, or legal as early as possible for things that would require such planning. One talent that we spoke to said that they believe this is a good move and will help streamline the show, avoid repeat spots and moves in general, and make more of the athletic spots that talent are capable of. It is also expected to help instill some authority to the coaches and help production prepare for spots. Feifel said they'll be asking more talent about their reactions as they become aware of it, but most we've heard from agreed it was a necessary tightening of the screws as the company grows. I want to start off being an AEW mark and someone who's on Tony Khan's payroll, says the Virgin Geek online. I want to start with the negative. What cannot happen here, and what Tony Khan needs to be mindful of, and what Tony Khan really needs to sit down with his roster with, sit down with his talent, his staff, his team, sit down with Warner Media. The one thing that Tony Khan needs to do is avoid making AEW a WWE lite. Simple. The reason why we love AEW so much is because it's not WWE. If you go on AEW television and we start seeing things play out like WWE on Monday and on Tuesday and on Friday, it's not going to be a good look for AEW. Fans are going to get disappointed. Fans are going to abandon the product. Fans are going to not going to have faith in Tony Khan to produce the type of content that they want. The reason why AEW is successful is because it's an alternative to WWE, where they're not doing something. AEW is the outlaw promotion. They're going to be doing things that you don't rarely see on WWE television. That's what made AEW so special. How is Tony Khan going to manage what needs to be shown on television, what needs to be done on television, and then talk to Warner Media and talk to his roster about keeping the integrity of the product? But this is what happens when AEW is a young upstart company and they're making fucking peanuts from Warner Media. Then they get popular and the fucking shine wears off, and AEW is a money-making machine and sells out this show and that show and merchandise out the fucking wazoo. And things are really, really reaching a high point for the company. Video game is out, widely successful already. Warner Media sees the money-making machine that AEW could realistically be. Now we see all of this. It's not the upstart promotion anymore that we fell in love with 4 years ago. It's not the company that was being paid $40 million for rights deals on TNT and TBS to put on some rinky-dink wrestling show to go head-to-head and be competition for WWE. Warner Media knows that this is it's not the same AEW. Tony Khan knows this is not the same AEW. So they see what is going on right now, and they want to ensure that AEW is still around to give them what they know they have in AEW. This is what happens when you grow and you mold the company into something bigger than it ever has been. You want to get paid? You got to follow the rules. You want the amount of money that Warner Media is reportedly going to give AEW? Then you got to play by the rules. But at the same time, Warner Media should understand that the reason why AEW is so popular and so successful with the fans that gravitate towards the show weekly is because of what we've seen so far in 4.5 years. Do not move away from that overall vibe. Do not, at any cost, completely strip away the integrity of the show. This is a good thing. All of this is a good thing. Everything needing approval from management is a good thing. How many times have we come on here and told everyone and voiced our opinions about there's no leadership in this company? The inmates are running the asylum, this and that. The wrestlers go out there, do what they want, say what they want, blah, blah, blah. They can still do that as long as management is keeping an eye on what is said and what is done to ensure that nobody is saying something that they shouldn't, doing something that they shouldn't be doing, and going out there and doing something risking injury or death. This gives management all that they need to really be the law. Give them, look at the list of things that need to be approved now. Now, if you're a wrestler, you got to ask for approval to do what you've been doing for 4.5 years. This is going to give Tony Khan and his team a grip on what they need to do. Management is now in control, not the inmates. They can't go out there and treat this like an indie mud show anymore. How many AEW matches have you seen on television that are largely the same? I feel like some of these things that we see are done every fucking week. I feel like some of these matches are the same matches every single week. How many of the same moves do we see off the top, on the outside, dives and weapons and blood? Blood being the one thing that we see every single fucking week. I'll get to that point in a second. I feel like I see all this shit every single week and we become numb to it. The more you see it, the less it has an impact. The more you see it, the less I care, the less you care. The more you see it, it doesn't feel special anymore. And when wrestling doesn't feel special anymore, that's when you start losing people. That's when you start losing the audience. Because they're numb to it. Why do I need to see blood every single week? Blood should be saved for major blow-offs, major feuds, big matches that call for it. Blood and guts, for example. Blood. Where we see Hell in a Cell and we see no blood. AEW goes into a steel cage, we got to see blood. Lights out matches, hardcore matches, death matches, whatever the fuck you want. That's when you see blood. Not Jon Moxley wrestling fucking, I don't know, Daddy Magic on Rampage. Oh man, he's bleeding all over the place within fucking 60 seconds. Come on. None of that shit should be allowed. But Jon Moxley will be allowed to bleed over somebody else. Somebody else lower on the totem pole is not going to be allowed to go out there and bleed like a fucking, like a waterfall. Jon Moxley will, though. Jon Moxley wants blood in a match because he feels like it needs it. Jon Moxley's going to get it. If someone who is an up-and-comer wants blood and wants to do a big spot to get himself over, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, some of these things are going to be political. But how many times do we see the same shit every single week and none of it resonates and none of it feels special because the audience is so fucking numb to it? This is going to protect the performers. This is going to limit the same shit that we see every week. The real talent is now going to step up and have to create from a blank canvas without using the typical bullshit that you've come to know and expect. I think that's great. As long as we don't get fucking 2-minute matches like we get on Friday and Monday, and as long as we don't get boring in-ring matches like we get on Monday and Friday, then we'll be fine. Is this going to be more of a story-driven AEW? I don't know. Is it going to be less in-ring and more story? I don't know. But this is all a good thing for AEW. Again, they have to play ball with Warner Media. You want to be paid? You want to be paid the millions upon millions upon millions for 5 years to remain on TV, which right now, Tony Khan's probably going to be looking at getting AEW paid when Hollywood has its actors and writers on strike and pro wrestling is in the most demand it's been in fucking years. No off season, live entertainment 52 weeks a year. Tony Khan and Nick Khan are going to get both of their respective companies paid because AEW and WWE writers are not part of the Hollywood Actors Guild. They're not. They got their own thing going on, and when networks are looking for no reruns, they're going to look to pro wrestling. So pro wrestling right now is in demand more than it has been in decades. So Tony Khan's going to get paid. And for him to get paid, he's got to play ball with Warner Media. But playing ball comes at a price. Do not at all risk the integrity of the product. Otherwise, your core fan base will see right through that shit. But share shots to the head, that's common sense. Pipes, kendo sticks to the head, shit like that, gotta get approved, right? Thumbtacks, barbed wire, bleeding, powders, aerosol, all gotta get approved. Choking with weapons, gotta get approved. I mean, I don't want to see that shit every week. I don't. Nor should you see that shit every week. Physicality in the crowd brawling. I don't mind if they want to set up a couple of plants and make it a realistic spot, but MJF taking a drink and throwing it on a kid or flicking a hat off somebody, though it's humorous and funny, I mean, that shit's going to land AEW in trouble. And if AEW is going to get paid by Warner Media and they're making all these multi-millions, possibly billions, MJF going to do that as world champion, not going to be a good look. Not going to be a good look because they're going to be in the public eye even more so than they are now. Faking seizures was another one. Bryan did that in the match with Okada at Forbidden Door. Not a good look. Just bad taste, a bad taste move all around. Nobody wants to see that. Nobody. Especially with somebody like that, as my cat's crying, especially somebody like that with a concussion history that was retired for 4 years because of concussions. Nobody wants to see that because it's only going to bring back that bad vibe. Physicality involving referees, managers, extras, celebrities. Common sense. Common sense. Shit through tables and the commentary table, the bell at the announce desk or the timekeeper's area, guardrails, weapons. Common sense. High-risk moves on the apron. Common sense. We see it in every match. You don't need to do it in every match. It's got to be approved. Pick and choose your spots. Not everybody can do it. Pile drivers. We see a lot of that shit in AEW. If you are one of those talents that does pile drivers, tombstones, inverted spike pile drivers, the Terry Funk pile driver on the apron as well, poison runners, that shit's got to get approved. And only people that do it should do it very, very rarely. Because it's a concussion issue. An injury. Every time someone does a pile driver, I fucking cringe. Because it's a great looking move. It's a pro wrestling move that I grew up on. But do you want to see somebody get fucking injured and end their career because of a fucking pile driver? I don't. And the more we see it, and we see it often, the more you're going to risk injury. Table, ladder, chair spots to the head. I mean, it's common sense. Common sense. Nothing should be done to the head. The buckle bomb should be banned in WWE. They continue to do it. Don't know why. And AEW is now taking the road and banning that move. Good. Good. How many times do we got to see Finn Balor, Seth Rollins do a fucking buckle bomb? I don't want to see it done in the ring. I don't want to see it done on the turnbuckle. I don't want to see it done on the outside on the barricade. It's just a fucking issue waiting to happen. It's an injury waiting to happen. This is going to be a good thing. Most of this shit is going to need to be approved. Let me tell you something before I get the fuck out of here. This is not the end of AEW. Oh my God, the world is ending. AEW is banning everything. It's going to be WWE Lite. It's not what this says. Everything here needs to be approved by a coach and someone in management. None of this shit is going away forever. It's just you're going to see less of it. And when you see it, it's going to be more impactful because you're not going to see it every fucking week by every fucking performer on Dynamite, on Rampage, and on Collision. This is a good thing. But the most important thing is Tony Khan needs to keep the integrity of the company intact, and he needs to avoid becoming a WWE Lite. All because this shit's going away for the most part doesn't mean it's not ever going to be done again. They just need to do it in doses. Quality over quantity. And at the end of the day, a happy roster is a healthy roster, and a healthy roster is a happy roster. We don't need injuries accumulating any more than they did for AEW last year. They're back at full strength. Let's keep it that way. Thank you guys very much for all your support. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that thumbs up. I would really appreciate you guys get as close to 1,000 likes as possible. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on the bell for notifications. Make sure you go check out all the other content on the channel. There is plenty of it. Go check that shit out and follow me on social media at JD from NY206. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Cameo, Threads. I'm on social media. Go find me. Thank you guys very much for all your support. Tonight, I will see you live right here from the OTS venue for AEW Collision on Off the Script. I'll see you guys later.